and welcome back. Today we're making chocolate chip cookies. We're gonna be starting with the dry mix. We're gonna have 270 grams of flour. To that we're adding 2 teaspoons of baking powder and a pinch of salt. So we mix it through, and remember, you can use any flour you like, but remember, the more fiber it has, the more moisture it will suck out of the recipe. So that goes for any kind of dough. You can use any flour, but just remember that that will make the final product drier. So now we go to the wet mix. We're going to be adding 180 grams of sugar of your choosing. If you have very sweet chocolate chips, try to use 150 grams, otherwise it might be too sweet. And to that we're adding 60 ml of oil. I'm trying to use less and less oil, so this is my best version yet, so maybe one day I'll make an oil-free version. To that we're going to be adding a teaspoon of vanilla essence. If you're using vanilla sugar, you can add it to either the wet mix or the dry mix. In that case, it doesn't really make any difference. And to that we're going to be adding 120 ml of plant milk. Any works, but some work better than others. Soy is my favorite because it makes this sort of mayonnaise-like texture, like some sort of a compote, and it works wonderful for the texture of the cookies. Oat also works very well. I'm using coconut for this recipe and I didn't really love the result, so I don't really recommend coconut milk. So we mix it for 1 minute and then we add the dry mix and we mix with a spatula. For mixing the liquids, I always rather use a stand mixer or just a handheld mixer. It works much better to dissolve the sugar, but for the rest, I really love just using a spatula. It's simpler, it's not as messy. Also, we're going to be adding 100 grams of chocolate chips. Try to add just 2/3 of the chocolate chips and mix through. Now, to bake the cookies, we're going to need a number of things. First, preheat the oven to 180 degrees Celsius. Then line a baking tray with parchment and also use a scoop, so that way all of the cookies will be the same size. That means they all will bake evenly, because if some cookies are too big and some too small, that means the bigger cookies will be raw while the smaller cookies are basically burnt. So the chocolate chips that we reserved, we're going to be using them now, because in order to have pretty chocolate chip cookies, you need to put chips on top. So that is a tip I've never seen in any recipe book, and I have made ugly chocolate chip cookies for years. So that is one tip for you. I'm going to be using a larger scoop for my second tray. And remember, all of these cookies will expand a little bit, so try not to put them too close together. And it depends on the size of the cookies that you're baking, how many you will get. So, and also how long you will bake them for. The small ones I baked first took about 8 minutes. These bigger ones are going to be taking about 11 minutes. So decorate them well with your chocolate chips and put them in the oven. And when you see that they're slightly golden at the bottom, that means they're ready. Cookies come out of the oven sort of slightly raw and soft, but that is good because cookies will continue to cook while they're cooling down. So if you take them out of the oven and they are already firm, that means they will cook to basically rock solid cookies. So you don't want that. So that is why you want them when they're just right, just slightly golden at the bottom, and that is your cue to take them out of the oven. Now, to cool them, you're going to be needing a cooling rack. If you don't have one, you can use the oven rack, and you can raise it between two things that are the same size, so that way you have a makeshift cooling rack. So that is why you need the cookies to cool, so they don't continue to bake while they're on the tray. Because remember what I told you before, you can end up with very, very hard cookies. So you need to let them cool on a rack or basically any raised surface. If you leave them on a plate, for instance, there will be condensation at the bottom and you're gonna end up with very, very soggy cookies because they're gonna be humid. So yeah, it's not the cookie you want. So that is why you need to use a cooling rack. So that is all for today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you like this recipe. Let me know in the comments, and please like and subscribe if you like this video. Thank you. Bye bye.